Hi, beautiful. This is Debra Mazer again, and this is video number 2 in my exciting celebration kickoff video series event for my brand new book, Retreat Recipes for Yoga Lovers, which is a vegetarian, vegan, and raw recipe book with recipes, over 100 recipes from around the world. I really hope that you enjoyed video 1. If you missed video 1, you may want to go back and watch. I really shared a lot about my own personal story of how I got into healthy food, raw food, and vegan food, and later becoming what I called a Debratarian. And I also shared a little bit about my own personal healing from an eating disorder, um, and shared also about my experience with race and culture and difference. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing all of your feedback. In this video, I am going to go a little bit deeper into some of my tips and tricks for being healthy. So basically, I shared in the first video that I don't believe that restriction and starvation and rigid diet plans really help anyone. I really believe more in the concept of what they call crowding out. So you add more good things into your life, and then naturally it creates such a crowd, so much space that there's no room for the unhealthy habits. And for me, that's been a way that I've been able to really heal my relationship with food. So I wanted to share with you today 5 of my top tips for being healthy. Number 1 is to drink more water. Now, I know that that seems really obvious, but our bodies are, 70% water? It's so important to stay hydrated. And actually, drinking water can help curb cravings for unhealthy foods. So when we're truly hydrated, then we can decide if we're hungry and ready to eat and what we'd like to eat. It helps keep us in balance, and especially during summertime. Right now in Southern California, it's hot, and it's so important to keep drinking our water. What kind of water should you drink? Well, there are lots of different opinions. I try not to drink water out of the tap. My day-to-day life, I tend to fill up jugs with reverse osmosis water or sometimes alkaline water from the health food store. Now, in an ideal world, I would love to be drinking fresh spring water every day, because I know that spring water is loaded with minerals, and it also contains codes and energies of the earth that we sometimes miss in more of the purified water. Of course, with spring water, you want to be really careful about where it is sourced. But there are so many different types of waters that are great, and people will put filtration systems in their house. There are so many different things that you can do. So that's number 1, drink more water. Number 2 is to read labels, to read food labels. Now, you are perhaps already into a healthy lifestyle and you already know this, but I'm just going to share it one more time. So, flipping over to the back of a box or bag, and if there's a word on there that is so long and bizarre that I can't pronounce it, then I don't eat that food. So I try to look for things on the label that are natural, that are words and ingredients and concepts that I am familiar with, that I know, and I try to avoid chemicals. So reading labels, just taking a look and being conscious about what you put in your shopping cart. And that kind of leads me to tip 3, which is shopping local and seasonal. So one thing that's been so exciting to see over my 16 years in the health food industry is the rise and growth of local farmers markets. It's truly amazing. Here in California, I could go to a local farmers market any day of the week, and I could also buy local and seasonal fruits and vegetables of many different kinds throughout the entire year, which is one thing I love about SoCal. When I did live in Atlanta, it was so interesting to see the shift and the rise and the growth of farmers markets throughout the year. I remember it started with just 1 or 2, and now there are so many more markets, and people are really tuning into local and seasonal. So why do you want to do this? There are so many reasons. So from number 2, I was talking about boxes and bags of food. One exciting thing for the environment is that buying local and seasonal is so much better for the environment. First of all, we're not using trucks and gas and fuel to ship things across the country. We're saving on those things, and we are using what's close to us. We're also supporting local businesses, local farmers, which is so important. Sometimes those farmers can get lost in the crowd of big business. So, and it feels so great to make a personal connection with these farmers and to really know and understand more where your food comes from. It's so special to be able to eat something and to actually know the person that grew it. It creates such a richer and fuller life. Another thing about shopping local is that we are natural beings, right? Like if you look at animals, let's say in nature, they are, I mean, of course our pets, we feed them pet food, but animals in nature, they're eating what's local and seasonal. So, and we sort of know this anyway. We get excited for like peaches and melons in the summer, and we get excited about like baking a beautiful winter squash in the winter. And these things actually can really benefit our bodies to eat seasonal and local, to tune into what's actually growing in your region, in your climate, in the geographic place where you are. When you start to eat what's local, so like on the East Coast, apples in the fall and kale in the fall, and these certain foods that it's just it actually benefits our body. If you think about summer foods, right? A lot of them are very water rich, such as cucumber, tomato, watermelon. Well, those things are so juicy and full of water, and when it's hot, we need that water to hydrate us and to keep us nurtured. So it makes sense to tune into these foods. And another exciting thing about shopping at the farmer's market is you can try new things. You can buy something different and experiment and learn to cook with new foods. And a lot of the recipes in my book, Retreat Recipes for Yoga Lovers, you can even mix and match. I have all my recipes there, but let's say you're making a beautiful pot of soup. You can add vegetables to that pot of soup that you maybe found at the local farmer's market. And it's exciting and it's fun. And I want to say too that it's almost, sometimes it can almost be like homeopathic for the body to really have a dose of what comes from the earth at that particular point of time. It just connects us with the cycle of life, and it really makes sense in terms of having a healthy body, mind, and spirit. So that was step number 3. So we had drink more water, we had read labels, and we had shop local and seasonal. So number 4 is I suggest that you eat more leafy greens. You can do this in so many different ways. One of my favorite is to make a green smoothie. So what I like to do, I have a Vitamix blender, but you don't have to have a fancy blender. You can use any old blender at home. But I love to put fruit in there. You can do fresh or frozen fruit. And I've been on a kick for a long time putting avocado in my smoothie, although lately I've been doing actually scoops of nut butter in my smoothie for the fat. I like to put some healthy fats in my smoothie. There's a myth about fats, and you may already know this, but there are so many beautiful healthy fats that are great for our skin and our hair and our brain function, and we don't, especially as women, need to fear these things any longer. It's silly. So anyway, I'll put my fruit, I'll put my avocado, and then I'll load some greens in, some spring mix or some dandelion from my garden, or some kale or spinach, or whatever types of greens that I have. And I'll fill it up with water in the blender. And I've got a recipe in my book for a really basic green smoothie that you're gonna love. And I blend it all up, and that's one way I can drink my greens. Another way that you can eat greens is by making a raw salad. And again, in my book, I have a recipe for a couple different versions of kale salad marinated, and they're both really sexy and yummy and delicious. So I like to marinate my kale with lemon juice, sea salt, olive oil, garlic, and mash up some avocado in there. That's more of my classic kale salad. And then I have another kale salad that's more of onions and sun-dried tomatoes and nutritional yeast, which is a great source of vitamin B12. Um, and it's kind of cheesy and yummy and gooey and spicy. So these are some kale salad recipes I love, and they're both in my book. And then a third way you can get your greens is well, of course you can make just a regular salad that we all know and love, right? In terms of eating them raw. And then the third way is you can cook your greens. And I also have recipes for cooked greens, such as cooked collard greens with onions, and cooking greens into stews and soups. So we can cook our greens, we can steam them, we can fry them, we can saute them, we can bake them, we can make chips out of them in the oven. There are so many different things. But greens are alkalizing, and they're cleansing, and they're healing, and they're also balancing for our moods and for our emotions. So that's step number 4, eating more greens. And the last step, number 5, is to eat more whole foods. So Whole Foods is not just the name of a really fancy and fun store, but whole foods are what we want to be putting into our body. So one thing that is one of my pet peeves as someone that's into health food is I'll notice if I go into a mainstream supermarket, I'll see these aisles of bread, and I'll see bread that says whole grain bread, whole wheat bread. And that's really nice and good that it says that on the label, but often when you turn the package over and you read the ingredients, it's got a whole laundry list of really unpronounceable words. And it's not actually as much of a whole food as you think it is. So I really recommend reading labels. One whole grain bread that I do like, and I'm not big on eating bread all the time, but I find that breads like Ezekiel bread or sprouted grain breads, manna bread, that those can be a healthier alternative for people that are still doing wheat and gluten. I find that for me, anyway, in my world, that those are more digestible for my body. But so whole grains. So just going to the bulk bin of your health food store and loading up on lentils, mung beans, brown rice, quinoa. I recommend I love to do brown rice rather than white, because white rice is actually the brown rice with the outside part stripped off. And the outside part contains a lot of nutrition. It contains vitamins and minerals and also fiber, which is great for digestion and elimination. So it's not that I don't eat white rice. I mean, I'm not super strict. If I go out for, again, one of my favorites, Indian food, I will eat the basmati, and I love it. But when I do shop for myself, I will most of the time buy brown rice because it is so much more nutrient dense and really healthy for the body. So the good news is that in this book, I have tons of exciting, delicious recipes using whole grains like brown rice and quinoa, and using all of these vegetables and different fruits and everything that I've mentioned so far in my tips. I have like loads and loads of ideas for you. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're probably thinking, that's really great, Debra. I'm glad you have so many recipes, but you are a professional chef, and I am a busy mom, a busy businesswoman, a busy yogi, you have a busy life, and you're thinking, I don't have time. I'm not going to have time for your gourmet professional recipes. So I'm here to tell you that a lot of these recipes are so quick and easy. And another little trick that I have is you can cook once and eat all week. So you don't have to be making a gourmet meal every single day or every single meal. That's what I love about incorporating cooked food into my diet and making a giant pot of khichdi or a giant pot of soup or even a giant pot of rice that then you can, blend in with different spices on different days, or even make into something that is sweet, a dessert. So anyway, I want to let you know that these recipes are not going to take a lot of time. They're easy. You can make a big pot of food and let that feed you and your family and your friends for days to come. And I think you're going to love all of the wealth of wisdom and the processes, and you're going to learn so much about how to cook. That's the other thing I love. I'm conveying this message in my marketing of the book, in my sharing of the book, that it's really more than an ebook. This is almost, it feels almost, the energy feels almost like a training manual. So you're learning about new ingredients like ume plum vinegar and what oils to cook with and what salts to buy and what kind of spices to use for Ethiopian food or other types of different cuisines. And so it's really a step-by-step guide. It's almost like a cooking class for you, just reading through and going through the book. And not only with cooking, but also a lot of my secrets around raw food recipes. So another thing I wanted to share with you that was so fascinating to me when I first got into raw food was that you could make cheeses out of nuts. And it totally blew my mind. I learned this from one of my great raw food teachers, Jackie Graff. I love you, Jackie, and I'm so, so grateful for you. So I would go and work for her Sprout Cafe in the kitchen, and she would make this cashew cheese in the Vitamix with the Vitamix plunger. And basically, you soak the cashews in water to get them plumped up and juicy and more digestible. And then you throw those soaked cashews in the blender, and you add a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of sea salt and some water. And you blend it up, and it is the most delicious, creamy cashew cheese that you can then eat raw. You can even cook it into lasagnas or enchiladas. It is so versatile and amazing. So I wanted to share with you that. And there are other raw recipes in there too, like chocolate pudding made out of avocados and sweetened with local honey. Or if you prefer not to use honey, you can use a different sweetener like maple syrup and other sweeteners that I talk about in the book that are a healthy, nutrient-dense alternative to white sugar. So there are all kinds of raw cakes in the book, from strawberry cake to carrot cake, raw chocolate brownies. Oh my goodness, there are just so many amazing desserts in the book. It's really incredible, you guys. There are so many foods, like creating your own hummus from scratch with chickpeas, and then you can keep that in the fridge and it will last as a great snack. What are some other things that I just love? There are just amazing recipes in there too, like vegan enchiladas and delicious guacamole and salsas and just so many different things, quinoa tabbouleh and different fried plantains and mango salsa and wild rice and mushroom coconut soup. And it just goes on and on and on. There are so many delicious and beautiful recipes that are all full of healthy ingredients. And you don't need to take my word for it, because I have a laundry list of testimonial quotes from the yoga students at the retreats sharing how much they loved the food and how much it changed their life. So I just want to get you excited. I want to get you excited about all the material that's in the book, all the wisdom that I really want to share with you, and all the ways that your life can transform when you start to really love yourself through food, when you start to honor your body, when you start to give yourself what your body really needs and craves and desires. And this book is just a love letter to you. It's infused with so much healing and beauty and love and Reiki even. I bless the book. I'm such a woo. But anyway, it's just full of so much love. And I think that even if you never cooked a recipe, just even reading it and learning from it is just so transformational and healing. But I know that you are going to make these recipes, and they're going to be fun and easy and beautiful. And I'm walking you through step by step with all of the directions and all of the explanations. And I know that you are just going to love it and eat it up and be salivating over it every page that you go through. So I hope that you will consider purchasing a copy of Retreat Recipes for Yoga Lovers. It is only $35, and I am going to have some links for you to purchase. And I'm also doing another video tomorrow, and it's all about wrapping it up. What's the big picture? Why is it important to eat healthy and become your best self, and to open yourself to really expansive levels of vibrant and beautiful health? So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be going into a little more detail about the book. So if you're not sure yet if it's for you, it's totally fine. We're going to continue to talk in the next video. And I'm here with you, and I love you, and I'm standing for you and your transformation and your happiness and your wholeness. So loving you so much. Peace and blessings. Namaste. Talk to you soon. If you like this video, I would encourage you to share it with your friends. You can comment below about what you got out of it, if you learned something, or if you have any questions or anything to share. Thank you so much, and blessings. Namaste.